إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله جل شأنه وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. فيا معاشر الإخوة ويا معاشر الأخوات, it's incumbent upon us in these days and times to seek refuge in Allah Jalla fil Ula, seek refuge in Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala from fitan and being confused in the religion of Allah Jalla wa Ala. For verily, ya ma'ashal ikhwah, there's nothing that the abd hasn't been given after al-ilm al-shar'i, after he attains the knowledge of Kitab al-Sunnah, which is yaqeen, which is surety in the religion of Islam, which is Salafiyah, and Salafiyah is Islam. فَيَا مَعَشَ الْإِخْوَةِ, we know that Allah Ta'ala in His infinite wisdom has destined for the creation to be tested by various tests and different kinds in every time and every place. As this is the sunnah of Allah in all of His creation, that people will be rocked and shifted in every type of way. Not only in the aspect of losing loved ones and falling into personal problems with people, whether it be your spouse that you lost, or whether it be a close friend that you might have lost, whether at death or certain relationships not working out. And also other problems, which is the worst of all of them and the head of all of them, which is to have some doubt in the da'wah or the religion of Islam, which is the da'wah to Salafiyah. For verily Allah, in every time you will find that a wave of fitna constantly hits the people, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preordained this matter to happen to everyone in order to separate and purify the ranks, in which the khabith, the wicked, will be separated from those who are pure and wholesome. For this wave of fitna, the Prophet ﷺ has clarified his authentic sunnah. When the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, by the tremendous narration that has been extracted in Sahih Muslim, on the authority of Abdur Razzaq, when the Prophet ﷺ, what he said, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فَأَتَيْتُ عَبْدِ اللَّهِ بْنِ عَمْرِ الْعَاصِ فَاجْتَمَعْنَا إِلَيْهِ وَكَانَ فِي ظِلِّ الْكَعْبَةِ فقال عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص كنا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في سفر فمنا من هو يخبأ الخباءة وممن ينتظر وممن هو في جشنه إذ نادى منادي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الصلاة جامعة فاجتمعنا إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لنا يا رب ما كان نبيا من قبلي إلا كان حقا عليه أن يدل أمته على خير يعلمه لهم وينذرهم شر ما يعلمه لهم وإن أمتكم هذه جعل عافيتها في أولها وسيصيب آخرها بلاء وأمور تنكرونها فتجيء الفتنة فيرقق بعضها بعضا ثم تنكشف فيقول المؤمن هذه مهلكتي فتجيء الفتنة فيقول المؤمن هذه فمن أراد أن يزحزح عن النار ويدخل الجنة فلتأته منيته وهو يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر وليأتي إلى الناس الذي يحب أن يؤتى إليه ومن باع إماما فأعطاه صفقة يده وثمرة قلبه فليطعه إن استطاع فإن جاء آخر ينازعه فليضرب عنق الآخر. As we know the hadith, which is tremendous, and I think everyone in this masjid and those who are listening online knows of the different waves of fitna that we've been enduring for years and years and years. Everyone has to realize when fitna comes, it's going to get more confusing and more confusing and more confusing to those who do not study and have usul salafiyah. But when you have usul salafiyah, you know how to conduct in these affairs properly. For those who are ignorant of usul salafiyah, you will leave yourself open for the fitna to grab you. You will not have a fortification or a shield for yourself. You will be left open to be what? To be drifted along with the waves that are now being grabbed and grabbing and enveloping a lot of people these days. The Prophet ﷺ has told us about this type of fitna that is going to come. And how, when it says in the hadith, فَعَبْدِ رَبِّ الْكَعْبَةِ, that he said that I came to Mecca and I entered the Masjid al-Makki. And he says that Abdullah ibn Abd al-As, that he was sitting in the shadow of the Kaaba. And I came to him. And he said that when he talked about a story which happened with the Messenger of Allah, that we were on a travel with him. And when we were on that travel, was the from us who was opening up their tents. And from us was also throwing the arrows and practicing with those different types of weaponry that we were given. And from us also likewise that was working on his riding beast. Hence there was a call out to the Messenger of Allah. So he said, as-salatu jami'ah. Verily come now and gather everyone to salat jami'ah. When it was a call for everyone to come and listen. When the Messenger of Allah came, gathered us, he said to us, there was not a Nabi before me, except that it was upon him to indicate and direct and guide his people to the good that he knows for them, and to warn them of the evil that he knows. He said, for verily the afiyah of this ummah, the good and the best, where they were not tested in the aspect where they were rocked and shifted in that aspect of their religion, because they purified it and kept it pure from anything that taints it. For the best of the afiyah that was given to the first of this ummah. He says, however, the last is going to afflict them. Trials and tribulations that you're all going to hate and detest. Then fitna will come to the abd. It's not just fitna of shubahat or shahawat. As we know that the ultimate fitna is the fitna of where your belief is rocked and shifted. Where the Muslim goes to some type of deviant methodology, which is a fitna of a lot of the Muslims these days. Where the Prophet ﷺ said fitna is going to come. فَيُرَقِّقُ بَعْضُهَا بَعْضًا. As Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar mentioned about this narration, that he said the meaning of the narration, يُرَقِّقُ بَعْضُهَا بَعْضًا. That fitna is going to come. And it's going to rock and shift the people. Shake them up and test them. See how you are really. Bring out the true nature of inside of you. So everybody can know who you are. Because that's what fitna is for. It brings out the reality of people. So we can know who is who. So when the fitna comes, as it says in the hadith, it says he's going to come and he's going to afflict the people. He says, and then the people are going to deem it to be evil. He says, and then it will be released as the Messenger of Allah will go away. And the mu'min will say, this is my destruction. This is my destruction. Then fitna is going to come again. And Al-Hafiz had explained that the meaning of this love, رَقِّقُ بَعْضَهَا بَعْضًا. The meaning of it is that fitna is going to come. And once it leaves, there's going to be one worse that's going to come. One more severe, more confusing. One that will rock the people. As we have seen trials and tribulations in this city. So many fitna makers. So many people that are rocking the people. Rocking them in their salafiyah. Drifting along with the currents of fitna. It's embarrassing for this city. For people now, outsiders, to come in and rock you from your salafiyah. Clear salafiyah. The Prophet said that salafiyah, or that which is going to come of fitna. Then it will leave again. Then that which came is going to be more severe than the one that left off. So the Messenger of Allah said that the mu'min would say, this is the means of my destruction. This is the means of my destruction. Until the last part where it says, he says, whoever wants to be put far away from hell and enter paradise, let death come to him and he's believing in Allah on the last day. Listen to this last part, in which a lot of people, if you was to really ponder on this narration of the Prophet ﷺ, all of us will be humble individuals, humbling themselves for Allah. When the truth comes to them, they just say, if I'm right or if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's a statement on the tongues of the people. It's like pork. It's like poison to admit when you're wrong. Wallahi, brothers, I have never experienced anyone that admitted when they were wrong except Allah raised them. Allah raised their status. And he humiliated people who are arrogant and haughty and are afraid to say, because when you say you are not wrong, it shows you are a weak individual. It takes a strong person to say, I'm wrong. That's a true man. To humble yourself and say, I was wrong, I'm sorry. In all your affairs, especially in the affairs of usul al-salafiyah, there's no aim to say I'm wrong. The aim or the affair of what is offensive and what is condemned is when you're not able to say it. That shows you're a coward and you're a weak individual. But however, a person, when he's able to humble himself for Allah and say that I'm sorry and I'm wrong for opposing the religion of Allah, and I'm sorry and I apologize for what I have made in the error, Allah raise that individual. Raise them amongst the khalq, amongst the creation, and likewise in the hereafter. For the Messenger of Allah, listen to this love of this word. Whoever wants to put far away from hell, and he wants to be entered into paradise, let death come to one of you who's believing in Allah in the last day. Now listen to this part. Let him treat people of how he will want to be treated. Let him come and deal with people of how he would like to be dealt with. If you ponder on that statement, and if you really listen to the Jawami Kalam al-Mubarak, the blessed, summarized words that the Messenger of Allah said, it carries a lot of meanings of how to treat people with kindness and respect, and not to treat them in a manner that you will find offensive. Humbling yourself, and also likewise lowering, submitting yourself for Allah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. Let one of you come, death comes. Or it says in the narration, let him treat people of how, or let him deal with the people of how he would like to be dealt with, or dealt with. Listen to this narration of that the Messenger of Allah also said, which is in Sahih Muslim, which is on the authority of Hudayf al-Yaman. As we know this tremendous hadith of fitan, تعرض الفتن على القلوب كعرض الحصير عودا عودا فأي قلب أشربها نكت فيه نكتة سوداء وأي قلب أنكرها نكت فيه نكتة بيضاء حتى يصير على قلبي أبيض مثل الصفا فلا تضره فتنة ما دامت السماوات والأرض والآخر مرباد كالكوز مجخيا لا يعرف معروفا ولا ينكر منكرا إلا ما أشرب من هواه. And we explain the hadith in a second khutbah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi wahdahu. والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد فيا معاشر الإخوة, the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam has clarified in this tremendous narration that fitna is constantly being shown to the hearts of the people. Constantly on a consistent basis. We just got on one fitna from last year, which to me wasn't even a fitna, of 2 night shift people who I even know they don't even deserve their names to be mentioned at all. But you see, the ignorant ones are rocked and shifted. Brothers and sisters, believe me, if you do not learn usul salafiyah, you will be exposed to every fitna to grab you. No matter if it's fitna that takes place in this city, or even if it's somewhere else in another country in Saudi Arabia. If you do not learn usul salafiyah, understanding that properly, so when fitna hits, you know what to do. Not to run your mouth so much, and to delve in these affairs in which, leave it to Ahl Ilm, leave it to the people of knowledge, of those who are known to have insight in these affairs. From the elders of which we know, the great Imam Hamil al-Liwa al-Jarh with Ta'dil bil-Haq, the great Imam Rabi' ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, and the great Fadilat al-Walid, al-Shaykh Ubayd ibn Sulaiman al-Jabiri, حفظهم الله ورعاهم وطال الله في عمرهم بالأعمال الصالحة, and other than them from Ahl Ilm, knowing their insight and listening to their instructions. Now to the point in the city, you hear statements of disrespect of these scholars. Who are they? I ain't gonna listen to them. And I'm hearing this is like, where is the city going? And I know Abu Uwais, rahimahullah, if he was living right now, Allah knows best. To hear how the people condemn these scholars, it would make him throw up. What has happened to you people? What is going on with you people? What's going on? You're being rocked and shifted by idiots. Nonsense. Not listening to the instructions of Ahl Ilm, in which the Prophet ﷺ had constantly said, fitna is going to be constantly shown to your hearts on a consistent basis. Any heart that accepts this fitna, he says, أَيُّ قَلْبٍ أُشْرِبَهَا نُكِتَ فِيهِ نُكْتَةٌ سَوْدَاء. Any heart that now accepts this fitna, it will be put on his heart a black dot. That's not just fitna because you got your girlfriend in the car that you're on the phone with. Oh, that will call a black dot on your heart too. Also the drinking, also the clubbing, also the filthy nonsense that you broadcast on social media, it will be put on your heart a black dot. And the most worst of all those black dots is the fitna now when you go into Masjid in South Philadelphia and New Jersey and all these other different places in which I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those are the worst of fitna. Because now you're being tested in your religion. When you're tested in your religion, know for sure you need to rush to get a doctor to cure it. Just as you know when you're wounded in your body severely, you do not hesitate except to hasten towards the hospital. When you know that your heart is now being tested, we put that off. That's not serious. Procrastination. Any type of heart that accepts this fitna will be put on his heart a black dot. Any heart now, likewise, that rejects this fitna, they learn usul salafiyah. They hang on to the gharuz of Ahl al-Ilm al-Mahba, the ulama al-Sunnah. They learn usul salafiyah. They hold on to the what? To those from Ahl al-Ilm that are truly defending the Sunnah. And they are correct in their positions. He said, for anybody who rejects that fitna, it will be put on his heart a black dot. Until the hearts become like two of that which is of similar, or one of these two type of hearts. One of them is abyad, white. No fitna will be able to harm it as long as the heavens and the earth exist. Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa. The only way you'll be able to keep your heart pure and cleansed is by learning usul salafi again. Learning the proper aqidah. Being steadfast and asking Allah consistently, day and night, to keep you firm upon it. For verily, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa. Notice that the Prophet ﷺ used to make this dua constantly. Day and night. Every night and day, until they said that this hadith is mutawatir. This hadith, in which we know that the Prophet ﷺ had said that the abd ma yu'ta shay ba'd al-yaqeen khayrun min al-afiyah. That the abd and the slave will never be given anything better after surety than him being pardoned and excused from tests, especially in his religion and especially in his minhaj. For there's no type of test in which you are, or worse of a test than that which you're being tested in your religion, either in your obedience of Allah. That's one type of the worst test that you can receive. Your obedience or uprightness with Allah is the worst test. If Allah is testing you in that area. Then what's just worse than that is now when you start having doubt about the religion, or doubt about Salafiyah, or now, which is the worst type of what's coming in the city, people saying they Salafi, but they're doing something totally in contrast to it, which is worse than sin. Having doubt in the methodology of Salafiyah is the worst type of test. The Prophet ﷺ used to make this dua in the morning and the evening. By the fadl of Allah, this is what I make dua from my morning and evening dhikr every day. And I make sure I do not miss making this dua. Where the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyata fi dunya wal-akhirah. Was'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyata fi deeni wa dunyaya wa ahli wa mali. Allahumma astur awrati وآمن روعاتي واحفظني من بين يدي ومن خلفي وعن يميني وعن شمالي ومن فوقي وأعوذ بعظمتك أن أغتال من تحتي. That Abdullah ibn Umar said that the Prophet ﷺ, that he never used to make a dua you will find of those supplications, from the many supplications, of what he used to ask and encourage his ummah constantly to ask Allah for al-afiyah. That you be saved and that you be protected and not being tested in your affairs, especially in the religion and especially in your methodology. When the Prophet ﷺ used to make this dua, oh Allah, I ask you for al-afwa, forgiveness and al-afiyah, not to be tested in this dunya and in the hereafter. And I ask you for al-afwa wal-afiyah. I ask you forgiveness, protection, and not to be tested in my deen. Not in my deen. Not in my dunya. When you start to now do haram things in order to attain your sustenance. And in my family. And in my wealth. Oh Allah, protect my sins and protect what I've done and come up short in. Astur awrati wa amin rawati. Give peace and give me security from fear. Protect me from the side of me and from the left and from the right and behind me. And I also seek refuge in you from al-khasf, from something of an earthquake or punishment that will cause me to be destroyed. These are the type of du'as in which even Abbas Abdul Muttalib said, I asked the Messenger of Allah. I asked him, what is the best of du'a? He says, Ya Ammi Rasulillah, Salillah al-afiyah. O uncle of the Messenger of Allah, ask Allah for al-afiyah. He says, then I came back another day. He said it again. Salillah al-afiyah. Then I came back another day and he said the exact same thing again. For ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, in the hadith of the Messenger of Allah, if you want your hearts to remain white and pure, as it says, the only way you can do that is through ilm al-shar'i and learning usul salafiyah. Then asking Allah to keep you firm upon that through these various types of authentic supplications of the Messenger of Allah, which will keep your heart firm and planted to the ground. Because this fitna is not stopped. It's going to keep going and going and going until we all meet Allah, in order to measure and see who is who. As the great Imam Muhammad al-Jami used to make this tremendous poetry. And I thank Allah for all this fitna that used to take place. Because now I know who is who. Because it says in the poetry, Jazallahu shada'ida kulla khayr, araftu biha sadiqi min aduwi. May Allah, he says, Jazallahu shada'ida kulla khayr. May Allah thank all the calamities that happen. Verily, I know by who's my enemy to who's my friend. May Allah reward the shada'id. I know who's who now. For ya ma'ash al-ikhwa. The narrations it says, just to end it off, when the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned it said, he says, well, akharu murbad, kalkuzi mujahhiyan. He says the other heart is that which is black. It's like the kuz. As it's a type of flower that when it's set upside down, it holds everything that comes in it when something is poured inside of it. He says when the heart now becomes flipped like that, all of that which is of fitna of social media, and we know that is the greatest fitna that we're being tested with these days. Every type of belia, every type of atrocity that poisons the people's heart comes straight to your pocket now. If you are not careful. For verily now, he says, the heart will become like black, holding everything that is in it of fitan, holding it in. Kalkuzi mujahhiyan. What will happen now? Now that your heart is accepting this, until the point, la ya'rifu ma'rufan, wa la yunkiru munkaran, illa ma ushriba min hawa. Ibn al-Qayyim gave a tremendous benefit about this particular narration. He says, when a person's heart becomes black and switched to this point and to this extent, he says, a person will not to know good which is good, as the Prophet ﷺ says. La ya'rifu ma'rufan, doesn't know which is of khayr. Nor does he even prohibit the evil or that which is what? Incorrect, or what is evil. Except that which agrees and what his desires sucks in. For Ibn al-Qayyim says about this hadith in the last part, he says, if a person doesn't protect his heart, which the Messenger of Allah talked about fitan, how it poisons people, until the point where your heart can be switched up. Because we know that the hearts are between the two fingers, that the heart of the slave is between the two fingers of the fingers of Rahman. He switches how he wills. He switches how he wills, tabaraka wa ta'ala. Says in the last part of the narration, where Ibn al-Qayyim says, your heart can be poisoned, it can be switched until the point where you do not know. We're good now that you used to deem to be good, you now deem it to be evil. Also that which you used to now declare to be bid'ah, declare what goes against the religion, is switched on you now. Listening to music, what's wrong with that? It's all good. Having a girlfriend, what's wrong with that now? Everything now has become a switch. Your insight of your senses now are corrupted. Switched. What's wrong with so-and-so there, so-and-so Masjid in New Jersey? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Can't go to there? What's wrong with that? I don't mess with them Salafis. What's wrong with going there? That which you used to deem to be evil, now you deem it to be good now. That which you used to proclaim a bid'ah today, you now declare to be sunnah. Everything becomes switched to you on you now. Your basira, your insight now becomes wiped out. فَيَا مَعَاشِ الْإِخْوَةِ, this is the effects of fitan. And you have to constantly ask Allah to keep your heart firm and plant it on the ground. And after, not only just dua to Allah, you have to put forth your utmost diligence and desires in learning usul salafiyah. That is your fortification and your shield to these fitan. Asking the students of knowledge, asking them questions about your methodology, your minhaj. So when these waves of fitna hit, you now know how to deal with it. But those who are destroyed is those who start yapping their mouth, running their mouth, indulging in these affairs in which the Prophet ﷺ prohibited, that when these fitan come, not for no one to indulge in them, not to put on the internet certain names, not that now you will be consumed by fitna. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, if you hear someone constantly talking about something every single day, every day, once, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, know he's consumed by that fitna. You're consumed now. Shaitan has now made an entrance upon your heart. Got it. When you see your mouth is constantly running about something 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day, it's like, what do you keep talking about this for? You're consumed. Shaitan has opened up a door to you now. The only way you can get rid of that sickness now is to go to a doctor of the qalb. You're consumed. For verily, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, make isti'adha from fitan, as the Prophet ﷺ used to constantly say, إِنَّمَا السَّعِيدُ مَنْ جُنِّبَ الْفِتَنِ إِنَّمَا السَّعِيدُ مَنْ جُنِّبَ الْفِتَنِ إِنَّمَا السَّعِيدُ مَنْ جُنِّبَ الْفِتَنِ. Verily, the one who's truly prosperous and successful is the one who Allah kept far away from him fitan. فَنَسَلَ اللَّهِ بِأَسْمَائِهِ الْحُسْنَى وَصِفَاتِهِ الْعُلَى أَنْ يُرِيَنَا الْحَقَّ حَقًّا وَيَرْزُقَنَا اتِّبَاعَهُ ويرينا الباطل باطلا ويرزقنا اجتنابه ونسأله تبارك وتعالى بأسمائه الحسنى وصفاته العلى أن يتولانا وإياكم برعايته وحفظه في الدنيا والآخرة. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وأقم الصلاة.